Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Larry Locken with Pleiadian Talk. I'm joined today with one of my fellow admins from Leah Shapiro's Mothership Pleiadians group, Jason Wilson, all the way from Singapore. J. Will, my man, how are you?
I am feeling absolutely fine, my beloved brother from another intergalactic spacefaring mother.
Feeling fine on cloud nine. I love it. So I know that today we wanted to get together, brother, and we wanted to talk about some issues. Again, we had a meeting not too long ago here live, and we kind of wanted to talk about some of the issues, mainly love. We wanted to talk a lot about love and our love for our fellow man and our fellow group members.
Absolutely,
But we
absolutely.
also, we also had a few other things on our mind I know we spoke of, and some issues that are talked about in the group. So I think maybe first of all, we got to start off by giving a shout out and much love to everybody in the Pleiadians group and everybody associated with the various Pleiadians group.
I mean, brother, first off, I mean, the person, as you know, that comes to mind is the Honorable Leah Shapiro, and we love you so very
Yes.
much. And, I mean, I just don't want to get emotional right now on the air with you, but the tears that could be shed, not out of sadness, just about out of pure joy and love for this woman and her dedication and
Mm-hmm.
commitment and what she has done, not for just us and the star seeds, but for this beautiful jewel, this beautiful place that we live on, Gaia, Earth.
Yes, Gaia, exactly. And Leah, the thing is, it's kind of funny when Leah, when Leah will compliment me or something or whatever, I can totally feel the real love, and it's almost to the point where, yeah, I have to like, it's kind of makes me blush, and it kind of makes me to the point where, yeah, I don't want to start getting emotional and breaking down out of pure joy. Maybe I'm part of my 3D part of me is still like afraid of that, but I will. It'd be real easy for me to go there, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Absolutely. She's a beautiful, remarkable woman. And,
Man.
this, I want to say to you too, right now while talking to you, Larry, I really meant that what I said. I mean, I don't own anything, Larry. It's yours, and it's just borrowed from you. That's it. If you see something that happens to be quote unquote in my room, it's yours, bro. That's how much I love you, and she was wise, and you have had excellent stewardship of this group, and
Mm-hmm.
you've been through a lot of things, and I absolutely love you, and I'm thankful until the day that it's time for me to go back and be reincarnated in another form for allowing me to come on board and be of service. And I underscore that word, to be of service to all of these wonderful, beautiful, radiant, benevolent star seeds, light workers, energetic, amazing people, people who have been kicked around in life, who've been through the shit, who've been through difficult times, through the heartache, broken, beaten down, through despair, can't take it anymore. When's it going to happen? When is the world going to uplift? Every one of them just to put a smile on their face, to make them believe and to want to live for this wonderful world another day, to be able to realize that there is light and that there is love that is so pure and so beautiful, so all encompassing and all embracing, that it will just break down the hardest of hearts. And
Mm. Ditto. I feel the same way, and I feel the same way about you too, brother. It was really a blessing, when you came into the group and we started talking. And of course, I was really excited when you got to be an admin in the group, and it's just been great ever since. And it's part of this whole process. Jane and Kathleen and Sierra and the other admins, and I know you yourself and myself have formed quite a bond together, man. And I really love you too. And it's just been great, and I think I'm really excited at what the future holds in store. It's like, this is just the beginning. I mean, we're just getting warmed up, and I don't know if I really let myself go there and start thinking about it in depthly, I kind of get chills. And yeah, I love you too, brother, very, 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 very much. We have a good flow together, and we don't walk all over each other while we're talking on here. Like, I have a habit of doing with some people, or have to really watch. It comes out really, really natural, and I feel real at ease, and I wanted to thank you for that as well. And yeah, much love to Leah Shapiro, Alien Tribe. What a great woman, and what a total unjudgmental woman that hopefully I can someday climb those 5 or 6 more steps of consciousness to be close to being on her level. But that's what it's all about, is paying it forward. And I think that speaks to the love like you and I, and certainly Jane and Sierra and Kathleen have for the group members. of the Pleiadians too, is we just want to see that, and we want to, but and also our main focus is to keep the group at a higher vibration, and that's why maybe sometimes we might have to delete some posts or comment to some people about what they post just to let them know and to make them understand where we're coming from and what it's about, man.
Yeah, we're all about that love, and for that's just the nature of the thing, we don't even have to give time to that and talk about deleting people's posts and stuff because it's been stated so many times. We're on the love and light train, and if you don't want to get on board that, that's fine. Another train
And
may
I
come
feel
through town
sorry for
again.
you. Yep. Yeah, if they miss it, I feel sorry for them. And that's kind of a take on an old song called Love Train by the OJs, 1972, if anybody cares, but nobody does. But hey, it's all good.
Cat Stevens, Peace Train.
Exactly. Hey, isn't he a symbol now? I thought he turned his name into a symbol, but either way, it's still great music. What's in a name? It's all about the message, right?
If you're gonna go through ascension, take good care. Hope you got a lot of nice things to wear. 'Cause in the Pleiades, a lot of things
Absolutely.
turns great out there.
Ooh, baby, baby, it's a cosmic world.
It's hard to get
Yes.
by upon your it's hard to get by upon your hate and your anger and and your distrust. And
Goddamn is it, man? I'll tell you. It's a pain in the ass going that route, brother. Yeah.
I had
Jeez.
a very wonderful conversation with a very awakened mind, awakened heart, and awakened soul. And we went back onto the old topic of meat eating and vegetarianism, and we were discussing on that on another level that was very, very interesting that you might be interested in and some of the people listening because. Like I was saying, sometimes someone may feel that they're on a certain level of understanding, and that's fine. But it's very important not to be condescending towards others that you feel are not up on that level with you.
Totally right. And I even once in a while, Jason, I would say you touched on something really that's kind of like one of my last biggest challenges is that too, because sometimes, you'll get a comment like that, and it's hard, but you really have got to watch yourself. I try not to be that way unless it's an extreme situation where it's the last case scenario. But usually that's kind of an admin thing. There's really no point in being condescending to somebody. Just kind of walk away from it. And I've really about 90% of the time now learned to do that. And that's hard too. When you think, because nobody really knows. When you think you're up on that level, right? It's real easy to go there with somebody like that, and then you just get stuck into that 3D drama back and forth, neener game.
If I can, I just also want to say some shouts out here to people
Hmm.
like Brenda, who's holding it down in Texas, and Marion Logan, and Michelle Whaling, and Deeper Minds in Arkansas. We see you, we love you. Ness and Sherry, who are in the UK. A young man who's doing his thing, Illuminated Prophet.
Oh yeah,
Daniel.
yeah. A young man with a lot of fire, a lot of kind of reminds me of me when I had a lot more energy about 15 years ago or so, and a lot more vigor. And yeah, he really is. He's quite something, actually.
Absolutely. Daniel Yoke, who is, I believe, she's down
Yes,
in
great
Florida.
girl.
Louisa Mann, who keeps it going with all of the posts that she, gives us 1,000 posts a day at the very least.
Much love, Louisa. Much love for your 5 posts a minute. We're digging it.
I mean, it's just Jane. You know,
Jane, Jane, Jane. Yep.
wow. Some people are out in the desert, putting their hands up at the sky saying, bring the rain. And, Larry and I just put our hands up to the sky and say, bring the Jane. That's what we say, bring the Jane.
Jane, Jane, Jane. Exactly. And of course, Sierra Morris in West Virginia. Glad it's her in West Virginia, not me. But that's a whole other story for another topic. I'm sure I'll catch hell for that one, but it's all good. Much love. My grandmother's from West Virginia. Yeah, 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 yeah. So exactly. So I know one of the things that we wanted to talk about too, and is some of the topics that are posted in the group. I think that we were just really vague on it last time, as far as what we looked for in things to approve or to or to disapprove. But Some of the things that I know that you and I have talked about privately that you know that we don't necessarily not believe in, but it's just like we feel like maybe people are more into the word instead of the message would be something like, oh, I don't know, let's just go into it right now. Let's, something like whether it's the Ashtar command or whether it's Cobra or ascension dates, ascension dates, ascension dates, ascension dates, ascension dates. It's going to happen now. It's going to happen here. It's going to happen there. It's going to happen where, everywhere, anywhere, no, but nowhere.
You know,
Oh,
you remember when we were talking to Sarah from Canada about
yeah,
that, and I asked her, I said, is it appropriate if we just tell them, you're not going anywhere?
Sarah Brown. Yeah, 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 yeah,
It's like,
yeah. Yeah,
how
you're not
about,
going anywhere. How about you're staying here with the mothership Earth?
yeah,
We're gonna tear
that's
the
it.
Yeah, we're gonna tear the
Here,
roof off this sucker.
here's some food for thought for those people out there. This is in the most highly controlled, monitored country probably on the face of the earth, the United States of America, the place where they hate us because of our freedoms.
Yes, they
And
do.
there are, what is it up to now? A couple 100,000 Americans who quote unquote go missing every year. Now,
Mm-hmm.
for those listening, you talk about ascension, okay? Some of these people disappear simply because they have bills that they want and creditors after them and oh no, I'm being honest.
I
Like
know you are, man. I can relate.
they want to get out of Dodge. And there are some nefarious things that are going on, the kidnapping of children, people who are homeless, they end up quote unquote off the grid. They don't get accounted for. But trust me, some of our brothers and sisters out there that are of the light and that are sentient beings out there in this galaxy, when it is your time to go, they will come and scoop you up. That's correct. Not
You
all of
know,
that is ended in a sad note. It's not. There's a lot of people who it's their time to go, and they'll come and they'll take you when it's your time. When you're ready and it's your time. And even if it is your time, like I'm telling you right now, I'm talking to Larry, and I know that his time was up a long time ago. Leah's time was up a long time ago. Jane's
oh,
time was up a long time ago. But these people are here continuing to do a mission that they were set out to do. So that's what that is. And that's out of love
exactly.
and light. And there are many people of you out there listening, and you might be thinking, well, when is my time? But you see, there was the saying that the Creator gives the most difficult challenges to the toughest soldiers. And that's
Oh boy,
you.
it's true. It's true. Yeah. No, it's true, definitely. And, some of us have chose to stay back and help out. Of course, Jason Wilson, yourself would definitely be included in that group big time. And then some of these people that we may not hear from anymore, they could be in an alternate ascended reality or whatever. I mean, we're not, please people understand, we're not saying that these people have been murdered and or whatever. This is a real deal, some of them. Some of them have really gone to a better place and in an alternate place. So everything you could think of is true. So there's all kinds of
Here,
possibilities and realities. Yeah.
I want to set something straight, if I can, too, about this
Yes.
uh, ascension and when will we ascend and how many and so on and so forth. People believe this, hear this, and feel this, understand it and know it. Eventually, the light embraces and encompasses all. ALL underscore all. You have to understand that, give you an anecdote, okay? If I was a father and I told you you only had one chance to learn how to tie your shoes, and if you don't get it, then that's just too bad. But then if I came along and I said, look, well, I'm a different father and I'm going to give you 100 times to learn how to tie your shoes, and then another person comes along and says, I'll give you 1,000 tries. Obviously, the person who gives you 100 and 1,000 chances is more forbearing, more patient, more understanding than the one that says you've got one chance and one chance only. The souls are reincarnated, so you decide yourself how long you want to continue to experience the same things over and over and over. The tools are there in order for you to ascend. If you're not going to get it right during this lifetime, if you're not going to get it right during this time of ascension, then there'll be the other opportunities and other planes and other worlds and other dimensions and other timelines and so on and so forth for you to get it right.
Yeah, absolutely, and exactly, and it's all about a choice. I know which one that I would rather have per se, but that's up to each person's individual growth and their growth path, and
Right. I
it would
mean,
be
it's
breaking
it's
free
like if you
will to
ask me,
become.
Jason, how many times would you like to be burned? Well, how about zero? I don't want to be
Yeah,
burned.
how about none? How
No,
about
none if I can
none?
help it.
Yeah, how many times would you like
But
to be kicked in the groin?
if you
Yeah.
are talking about this, it's that these are the signs, this is the path, this is clear, and if it speaks to you, then try to jump on board that and do what you feel in your heart and in your mind and in your soul you need to do, so then that way you can ascend. If not, then yeah, you're going to be going through the drama that is to come for those people who do not ascend. But in terms of like your ultimate destination, the
Mm,
ultimate destination of all things is to be encompassed and embraced by the light. Now that might be that should be and hopefully is reassuring to those who are listening. But at the same time, it's also saying that look, how many times do you want to be burned, right?
yeah,
How many
you know
times do you want to go
exactly.
through trauma and drama?
Yeah, it's like the old song says, "How long do you want to be standing in the shadows of love, getting ready for the heartaches to come?" I kind of got tired of that a long time ago. I don't know about you.
Am I alone here, Larry? Did you
Yes,
leave me
all. No, I'm here.
live
Can you
on
hear me?
air?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Jason, Jason.
I'm just gonna do
I'm.
a solo act.
Oh no, dude, I'm here. Uh-oh.
Where did
I
he
can hear.
go?
I'm here. I can hear you. I'm typing to you right now. I can hear you. I'm typing to you that I can hear you. Go out and come back in again. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think Jason Wilson is going to have to go out and then come back in again. Technology really likes to get in the way sometimes of productiveness, especially when it comes to star seeds and Pleiadians. Either that or it is a complete coincidence. But I find time and time again we have these technical issues. And okay, he must have gotten my word because he stepped out, and now hopefully he'll be coming back in shortly. In the meantime, I'd like to take this opportunity to express my love and gratitude for everybody in the Pleiadians group, everybody that has supported my personal group, the Fringe Thinkers, and all the regional Pleiadian groups, too many now to name, that I've helped to create, as well as the Pleiadian Light Grid page, Pleiadian Woodstock page, and the Pleiadian Disco 70s page. So I'd like to wish everybody, a great week, and I hope that everybody's doing good. And much love to everybody. And hopefully Jason will be coming back in shortly. I don't want to have to play some elevator music or dig up some of my disco or psychedelic rock here to bore the masses with, but we may be forced to get to that point. Hmm. Come on, Jason, where are you, man? Come on, Jason, I'm going to kill you. Hurry up and get back on the air. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there he is. There's the man of the hour with all the power, too sweet to be sour. Jay Will, can you hear me?
Absolutely, brother. I can hear you coming right on.
Great, great. Yeah, that gave me an opportunity. That was actually divine intervention. That gave me an opportunity to give a public service announcement of love to all the peeps out there, and also threaten your life too if you didn't hurry up and get back in the room. So, 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 so it's all good, man. So where were we at before we
Divine intervention came.
yes, from the
Just
heavens.
about the eventually that the light embraces and encompasses all, but it's how many times do you want to get burned? How many times
Oh
do you want to go
yes,
through
yes.
this? So I'm saying that because ultimately I honestly feel that the message that the Palladians have to bring is one that it is a dire message and situation about our circumstance, but please do not let that be confused with a message of doom and gloom, because
Yeah,
I don't think we're about the doom and gloom.
not at
Um,
all. And no Pleiadian, no true Pleiadian message is. It's just about innate possibilities and being aware, but using pure love, no judgment, but complete awareness, in every now moment you're in.
I dare you to say that again 3 times fast.
Oh yeah, right. Talk about putting me on the spot. It's all about pure love and non-judgment and using your heart and thinking through every now moment you're in. There, I put another twist on it.
Read the cards.
Read the.
Read the cards.
I know I need to start doing that for my shows too. I need to start doing a little bit of cue cardage. I mean, just a little bit, just to find that balance. But oh well, all we can do is live in this now moment, right?
Absolutely. And I'm loving this now moment with my brother, Rockin', Larry Locken.
This magic moment, so different and so new, unlike any
Unlike those
other.
other unlike those other guys who try to rip us off, back in the 80s, with those songs that we used to sing when we
Oh,
used to go to all the
yeah.
different places. I can't go for that. Go for that for no
No.
can.
Whoa, here she comes. She's a man beater. Yeah, yeah, I remember them. I remember them trying to rip off our act. Oh, oh,
And our
fallen
hair.
goats. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we were the real Hall and Oates. Those guys were fallen goats. The fallen goats tried to rip us off from Lubbock to Little Rock in every dive bar, well, ripping off our gig, man. And it just, yeah, that's the tragic story nobody knows of the universe.
Speaking of goats, I was mentioning to you earlier, if you're interested, and for those out there listening, this conversation that I had with a very enlightened starseed about this issue of vegetarianism and eating meat, and another interesting insight and perspective on that whole thing there.
Hold on, they
That
didn't try to
was
get you to sell alpacas, did they, or raise alpacas? No, never mind. That's a whole other story. Okay, go ahead, man.
Well, what we were talking about is that you remember, because in one show I mentioned about how people who were breatharians could say to people who are vegetarians, like, well, how could you uproot those
Yeah.
fruits or those vegetables from the earth, and how could you separate that life force? You see, this is something that's controversial, but I'll stand by this. There used to be these books back in the day called Seth Speaks, and this person used to channel this entity Seth,
Oh
which
God,
claimed that
Jane Roberts.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
this woman all
so
freaked out on LSD, tripping out. Yeah.
even the vegetables were of a consciousness on the level that human beings were, and
Right.
have souls. And I'm personally of the persuasion, um, from what people have told me, and I've discussed with some other people much more knowledgeable than me, they said that human beings are the one sentient life form on this earth. In other words, animals and plants have a sense of awareness, a sense of consciousness, but they don't have a soul. And so when you get back into this issue of meat eating and so forth, actually, the animals, they actually wish to be consumed by beings that are of a higher consciousness, that have free will, because human beings are the only creation on earth that have free will. There is no animal on the face of this planet that commits suicide. Zero, zilch, zitch, none. There is no animal that decides to become a monk or a nun. Human beings are the only created thing on this planet that can go against their will, because we have free will. Therefore, in order for them to ascend, to become part of a higher vibrational frequency, there are animals out there that actually wish to be consumed by righteous human beings. We're talking about human beings who are humble, who tread this earth lightly, that actually honor life and not take life for granted. When the Native Americans used to take the life of an animal, they would pray before taking the life of the animal and say, "Forgive me, my brother or my sister, but my children need to eat." And therefore, that actually becomes part of that person. Now, for those who say, "Well, I'm not quite sure about that," okay, think about this. You
Damn, I
eat
neither want to get
vegetation.
controversial this morning, bro. But wow, yeah, no, go ahead. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Uh, for those who say, "Well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense." Okay, the animal that dies in the middle of the forest, its body decomposes. All right, everything is energy. We all agree with that, correct? Everything is
Yes.
energy. So that animal that dies and decomposes in the forest, its nutrients actually feed the vegetation, and that vegetation you eat. So the energy from the dead animal is feeding the vegetation, and the vegetation is feeding you. So that energy is still there and it's being transferred. So the issue is not in taking the life of the animal per se and consuming its flesh, it's the manner in which that is being done, the respect that's there, the honor of life. And I briefly alluded into another program. That was part of the reason of one of the original rift that happened when we talk about the conflict in the living library, because you can take the idea that, okay, you look at Earth. In order for something to live, something else must give its life. For example, if I was to say to you, Larry, you and I are now on a galactic starship, okay? We have to go down to an area in engineering in which there's a radiation leak. Now, we have to go and fix that radiation leak. In the process, Larry, you're going to die and I'm going to die, but we're going to save thousands of women, children, and scientists that are there for the survival of our species. Would you not do it?
Yeah, nowadays I'd pretty much, since my awakening, I would go ahead and do it without much of even a hesitation. I probably always would have, but before I'd have been like, oh God, geez. But you know what? In a dire situation like that, and knowing what I know now with my guides, I can honestly say that yes, definitely, without much of a hesitation. And it's taken a long time to get to that point and actually get full of that feeling of realizing, yeah, I would do it.
So you have the idea of giving your life for something that is of a greater purpose. And ants, for example, see themselves as part of a whole. So ants have no problem in rushing into a battle to protect the colony because they understand that the survival of the colony is the survival of me. That's what they
Yeah,
understand.
they
If
understand it's eternal. Yeah,
that's how they see it. So again, I personally lean towards vegetarianism, but I'm wanting to say that because again, how sometimes we in our own starseed community, we take certain lifestyles or nutritional lifestyles, which in and of themselves are good and are very beneficial. I'm going to say this simply, really, to those listening, you eliminate the salts and the sodiums and the unnatural processed sugars and so forth from your diet, you're already going to be on cloud nine just from doing that alone, let
yeah.
alone anything else that you do. Really, um, ba- basically, everything that you see at a 7-Eleven or a Cheers is really,
Mm.
non-edible for you.
Even some
If you,
nachos, even on a late night 7-Eleven run with some good old nachos, yeah. Well, maybe not that, but I agree. It just becomes to the point where you don't want it anymore.
yeah, I mean, you even feel it. There are times when you eat something and you feel that you just.
God, I
This is
do.
something to encourage people. Have when you eat something, actually think about how it makes you feel when you eat it. Because I've eaten before when I've eaten at fast foods back in the day. I would eat these fast food restaurants and
God.
I would sit there and just be like, why did I even eat that? It really wasn't gratifying. It may have
Not at
filled me
all,
up a
man.
bit.
Yeah, it gave you kind of maybe even a gut ache, but you're hungry again in a little while, even as stuffed as you may feel at the time, because there's no substance to any of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this again is, is very important because when you understand that something gives its life in order for something else to have life. Now, when Barbara Marcianic, may her secrets be sanctified, was channeling the Pleiadians and in her Bringers of the Dawn, and also in the brief clip on uh, the wake up call for the family of light, and it says there
Right.
are there are some beings that honor life before all else, and there are also beings that do not honor life, do not understand their connection to it. The issue here was not about taking life, but was about honoring the life. You see,
Yeah.
this was the issue because on a certain evolutionary trajectory, you can understand that and say, oh, in order for something to live, something else must die. And you can do something very dark and twisted and say, well, you know what? Screw the rest of the human race or screw the animal kingdom as long as I survive. My survival. This is where it becomes dark and twisted. Whereas when you understand that there is a sacredness, there's a cycle of life, and you yourself will give your life in order for others to have life. That's where the thing
Right.
becomes beautiful. It's not dark and twisted. It all makes sense, and there is an exchange that is taking place within the universe, a give and a take that's there.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So that was just briefly on that. And here's a lot of people don't even know that the Dalai Lama eats meat.
Huh, really? I didn't know that. Huh. I wouldn't have guessed that. Wow.
He was a vegetarian for a good part of his life. He started to get jaundice. He started to have low blood pressure and anemia, and his doctor told him, look, if you don't eat meat, you're going to be having some serious medical problems. And so he does, even though, traditionally, the Buddhist tradition is one in which favors, a vegetarian diet for the most part. So that's something
Right.
for people to reflect upon. So the reason why I'm saying that again, if at the end of the day, it's not to say, hey, go out there tomorrow and fry up some bacon and grab up a beef burger or something. No, if you're on the vegetarian trajectory, that's fine. But also, realize that it takes time for people to get to certain places. These things don't happen overnight because again, it's I've seen some people that get very condescending and very haughty, and I think that when we're blessed with knowledge and information and insight, it should really make us humble, and we should try to be more humble and be thankful. The wise say, the more we know, the more we realize, the less we understand.
That's true. The more you learn, the less you know.
Right, and because it's so vast. So that comes in love and being in love. And you and Michelle, please correct me on this, did a topic on the issue of sex and love and relationships, wasn't it?
Actually, yes. So we touched on it a little bit. Michelle wrote a great article with in5d.com on it, and you know what? She just kind of, I got this mic in my or this earphone in my ear. That makes sense. But she briefly touched on it I believe it was the Cosmic Awakening show and one of our shows we did here on Pleiadian Express, um, and I really was just enamored listening to her. But yeah, the talk was basically centered around sex being, very therapeutic for our ascension and for our growth.
And that is true, and she absolutely is right on that because I do not understand for the life of me who the people who are saying um, sex, get a hold of yourself, how can you literally, right, get a hold of yourself, and
Yeah. Yeah,
and
really.
you know
Literally.
relax, don't do
Relax.
it.
When you want to go to when you want to come. Oh, I guess that was a
So
poor choice of words, but it's true.
no, it's the right choice of words, and we should embrace that. And
Hell
there is
yeah.
a guy.
Fuck feeling
Um,
guilty about it. I'm tired of feeling guilty about it.
that's the thing is we shouldn't. And for this is another wake up call. There's a guy on the Pleiadian page, Greg, and I don't know his last time. Sometimes you think he's just taking the piss, but he always talks about meditating naked. And this idea too is something that's interesting. We are born naked.
That's
That's a
true.
fact. No one's born with any clothes. It's
Yeah,
just
I've yet
later
to see
on.
that.
Right, so this is something too, if we're going to talk about ascension and so forth, it's not, again, I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, hey, you're not an ascended being unless you're running around naked and comfortable being naked in front of people. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying that this gentleman and people like that are onto something because that is our natural state. It's only over time through fear, and this is what gets in all this women going out there and eating a meal and then putting a finger down their throat and vomiting and becoming
Yeah.
bulimic. And I'm not comfortable because I'm fat, and I'm not comfortable because I'm skinny, and I'm
Yeah,
not
I
comfortable
know.
because my breasts are too big or they're too small, or I'm too fair or I'm too dark complected. So then you don't become comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
And this plays a lot into consumerism, who tries to teach this is what's beautiful and that's what's not, and they're actually confused about who they are. So you don't need to be confused about who you are. And I want to say this too, because anyone who goes back and listens to the program that we did about the twin flames should
Mhm.
know that I have absolutely nothing against the LBGT community out there. But here's some food for thought. I always thought it was very strange. Um, Men who would be working in these, let's say, beauty parlors, telling a woman what it is to be feminine. You know, you need to thin out your eyebrows. You need to do this, and yeah, girl, you know, you're gonna look so good like this. You're man, and
Ooh, yeah,
the,
yeah.
this guy himself may, and I want to make sure I'm quoted on that, may himself be in a state of confusion in terms of his own orientation. So who are you to dictate to a woman her
Mhm.
femininity,
And I think
right?
that's the point of it too. And it makes it real hard, Jason, because I've heard women around me, a lot of powerful women in my life that I loved and respected, say that about themselves, whether they're not happy with the way their ass looks, or they're not happy with their breasts, they're not happy with their weight. And these are beautiful, perfectly fine women. And I could never figure out why, I would tell them, oh, you look fine. You look great. Are you kidding me? And then, they may say thanks, but you realize they're so jaded already that unless they're full of that feeling of feeling better, it really isn't helping. I think the frustration came in of telling them that, and it didn't work. And then I came to the piece of realizing that it's such a bigger culturally rooted issue with them. You know what I mean? And I understand it now a little bit better.
I mean, people in general do like praise and do like gratification, not gratification, but people do like to be doted upon and being the subject of someone's love and affection. This is why, for example, if you notice, if children, little children they draw pictures, and they come home and they say, "Mommy, Daddy, look what I drew in school." The children will actually beam from ear to ear and smile if the parent says to the child, "That's a beautiful picture. That's amazing," because the child actually realizes you're not praising the picture as you are praising the creator of the picture.
Yeah,
And they like that because it's a sense of praise for them. And I think that we, as human beings, men and women, do that. But we need to realize we shouldn't allow rather another man or another woman or fashion and so forth dictate to us. You know, this is what's beautiful, and this is what's acceptable, because that changes throughout society, and from culture to culture, you know, what's considered beautiful and what's not. So I think that that guy was onto something, and that was just food for thought for some people to reflect upon. And just to say, for example, for me, I'm open to that. I feel that other people should be. And, you know, so if you're amongst communities
yeah.
or people who are like that, but at the same time, respect it the other way. That if there are some people who say, look, I don't feel like shedding my clothes, I'm not comfortable with that, I'm still inundated with what have you, or just for the simple fact that I don't want to, you know, they shouldn't maybe feel bad or guilty or backwards for not doing it either. It's a matter of love and acceptance. I really want to shy away from the word tolerance because Karen Armstrong came to Singapore, and Singapore loves using the word tolerance. And Karen Armstrong came here and did a conference, and she said, "I really don't like the word tolerance because tolerance is saying I really don't like you, I just tolerate you."
Yeah, I'm just putting up with you. I don't like
I'm
it either. There's so many undertones with it. I don't like the word
right.
tolerance either. Yeah.
So she said we should try to replace tolerance with acceptance, which I think is more agreeable, because acceptance is saying, look, you know, you may be this or that religion or no religion at all, gay, lesbian, what have you, vegetarianism, and we may not agree or see eye to eye, but I accept your right to be who and what you are in your worldview, and I think that that is definitely more agreeable.
I agree with you, and it really sounds better too. Tolerance, yeah, it makes me feel like I'm being put up with, like, oh well, that's mighty white of you, Jason. Hey, that's or I have a million black. You ever heard this one before? Oh, I'm not racist. I have a million black friends, or I have a, I mean, it's kind of that same undertone, like you're just putting up with it, like it's some kind of effort on your part that you're doing it, like
See, this whole thing behind the Cosmic Library and putting the different ethnic groups here on this planet was actually a show to other galactic systems that this can be done, because there were a lot of things that happened before where people had chose this particular evolutionary trajectory or evolutionary path, and it led to a lot of different conflict. And that's one of the beauties of our planet. You know, on the back of the US dollar bill, I believe it says out of many one. But the beauty of reality is actually out of one many. and embrace the many. It's not out of
Yeah.
many one, but out of one many.
Oneness, one collective, one many. The many are one, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And in respects to the U.S., I've always found it very queer or odd, if you will, that the people who would go out and get tans, on the beach, and then they would
Oh,
be
yeah.
very racist. I'm gonna go and get a huge tan line and darken my complexion, and then spout this, racist jargon against other people. It made no sense. And then I don't know if you encountered this, Larry, but I've also found it quite sad that in the U.S. I found a lot of people who had Native American heritage. I mean, out of all people, Native American heritage, and they would say disparaging thing against African Americans and Hispanics, and I was like, wow, you know,
Yeah, you
uh,
find that you seem to find that in every race. When I was growing up, I ran around with a wide variety of people and had some African American friends and some Hispanic friends, and we all got along and would kind of, jokingly make fun of our differences, but you could tell that came from those slang words they would use, and the little innuendos that they would use came from their upbringing, and you see that this goes on between every I don't even know how to put this, every race or ethnicity almost, that they look at, some people look at other people and just make fun of their differences, and they get this stereotype and these preconceived notions, and man, it just sticks for generations, and it's only been in the last few that it's kind of even calmed down at all. I don't know, it's really fucking amazing, man. I hear you. It's really like it's mind blowing as a it's mind blowing as a motherfucker.
when you look at the word Caucasian, okay, if you
Yeah.
spell that out on a piece of paper, let's say that you take off the word CAUC. What word
Okay,
remains?
cock. Take the cock out of it. You got Asian.
Asian, right? Because
Right.
Caucasians go back about 10 to 20,000 years, and considering our ancestry goes back to what is today in southern Russia, the Caucasus Mountains.
Yeah. Hmm.
All right, and then there's an interesting book for those who want to know. You can find it online. The book is actually called How the Irish Became White. In Europe, the Irish were not even considered to be proper Caucasians because of their social economic status. They
Yeah,
were
and that
actually loved.
right, and not to
Yeah,
cut you off, but that also carried over to when they migrated to America. I mean, they were considered like not white. I mean, they really were. I mean, and considered a lower class for a while. So see that undertone stayed with a few generations, obviously, to the New World, which is really the old world from Atlantis. But it's another story for another day. But yeah, isn't it amazing though?
it, it is, and how we're easily fooled into believing things that are just not the case. I mean, you'll get really ultra right racist groups in America,
Hmm.
Caucasian racist groups who go on and on about the white race. But if you go to Europe and you say, "Hey, everybody, I'm home," your white brother, they don't understand that. It's like, what the hell are you on about? Or or for that matter, those people who go on about, black pride and black power. You go to Africa, try that in a place where, Rwanda and Burundi, where
Oh
the
yeah,
Hutu and the Tutsis are killing each other. They're breaking it down by tribes. So the thing
exactly.
is you can keep breaking down humanity and breaking down, or you can expand and you can encompass and love and embrace all. That's
It
it.
just goes to
You,
show you can find hate at every level. I used to say, well, what if we were all blind? Would we be, we wouldn't be racist. But yeah, we'd find something else. We'd find the way a voice sounded. But if we were all blind and deaf, we'd find something else. You can always dig to lower heights on that level and just keep going and going and going. Or you can embrace love and you're already there. You know what I mean?
absolutely beautiful, Larry. Nothing that more to add to that from my side. You summed it up very well.
Well, thank you. You did all the work. I just, carried it home. It's kind of what I do
No,
here. But
it is true. I do all the work, but you come along and put that cherry on top, and it's like, the cake looks good, but once you put that cherry on top, it's like, oh, no, bon appetit right there. So,
yes. You did all the work on cooking the prime rib, but I got to cut that first little slice in front of the audience and get the credit. So I do appreciate that, man. So yeah. That being said, and I think too, another one of the things that we wanted to talk about is that drives both of us nuts is, and I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but when people get hung up on like a date, do you think that the people are just they're wanting something to come and save them. They're wanting to hold on to something. They're just wanting to think, oh, this is it. This is it. This is it. Well, it is it, but this is a series of steps to be it. I mean, these things are all relevant. It's a series of phases. It's not like, okay, well, on June the 1st which it's June the 1st now, and I didn't even consider that, at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, it's all going to go down. Now, what is all? Who knows? I don't know.
See, the one thing that the Pleiadians are not here to rob humanity from is from the joy of self-discovery and the joy of learning. And learning and self-discovery, as anybody out there listening, sometimes some of our best discoveries and some of our greatest achievements came through a lot of turmoil and hardship and very, very difficult and tumultuous periods in our life. What they do instead is hint, be subtle, give suggestion, persuade, show options, give opinions. So you want to know when is the ascension? It's right now. Right now.
It is. It's going on right now. We're going through it right now as we speak. There's no big, when is it going to happen? When's the big moment happening? When is it supposed to happen? Well, it's a series of events. We're happening now. We're going through it now. It's not just some all at once thing. It's a learning curve. And we're learning, and it's really up to humanity,
And I already mentioned, out of those hundreds of thousands of people in just in the United States alone that disappear every year, not everybody is disappearing because they're running from predators or because of nefarious issues. Some of those people, if they're ready to go, they're gonna be taken.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, very, very, very true. A lot of that does go on where they are taken or whatever, but I think that, and you just touched on something, and you mentioned it earlier. I mean,
because
a lot of
it
these
happens.
people are,
They come and then they go.
they come and they go, and you realize that some
Are
of it
you are
has
you
to
still there,
be,
or is
yeah,
there
can you hear
some
me?
interference again on the a technical
Yeah,
issue?
yeah, Jason, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'll see if I need to re-enter.
Yeah, yeah, re-enter.
Are you on the mic right now, or should I
I'm
re-enter
on the,
again? Okay, I'll
yes,
do that. Give
re-enter.
me a second.
Commence
Apologies
re-entering.
to the listeners.
Yes, and I will take this opportunity to give another public service announcement. Jason Wilson can be found on Facebook at his timeline, Jason Wilson. He can also be found giving his advice on the Pleiadians group. He's one of the 6 admins, along with myself, Jane Hermstead from Norway, Sierra Morris from West Virginia, and Kathleen Boylan, as far as that goes, and our great group leader, Leah Shapiro, Alien Tribe, out of Los Angeles. Jason, are you there? Jason.
Yes, sir. I'm
Oh,
back.
you're back in the group. Good. Yeah, see, Divine Intervention again. I got a chance to give a shout out to our fellow admins.
Absolutely love each and every one of them. Such amazing, amazing beings.
Yes, probably already ascended, especially the 4 females. You and I are the ones kind of picking up the slack, but that's how it goes. They're already there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna grab onto someone's ankle.
Me too. That's what I'm hoping. And I'll take the other.
Yeah,
And we can let her drag us to the promised land.
that's my plan. Is just
Me
hold
too,
on to
man.
an
When all
ankle
else
and.
fails. Yeah, when all else fails, go that route. Yeah, yeah.
One of the frequent asked questions, and I think it's very relevant to everything, is though about not so much. Let's not talk about the ascension symptoms, but ways that
Yeah,
one
we've been
can
over that.
ascend and expand consciousness and to get into the state. In fact, Larry, have I ever actually shared with you personally uh, my how I came into contact with the Pleiadians and my own personal experience?
No, we were talking one night when I was getting ready to have a connection with them, and you made the comment to me that, I we were talking about something serious, and you're like, you know what, I might, it's been a while, I may need to go make contact. And I made the comment, well, yeah, I hear you, because usually we don't need to, because we kind of know it innately already, and so they're there when we need them. But no, you never did go into exactly how it came about for you. So no, and you know what? And I didn't ask because I figured when you were ready, like maybe right now, you would tell us.
When I was a young boy of about 9, 10 years of age, I was running through some cornfields in a state in the Midwest, in the state of Indiana, to be precise. And I'm a person who likes to go out and explore nature and push the boundaries of, okay, I went this far, tomorrow I'll go further. So I was running through the cornfields, and the uh, corn is just hitting me, and then I actually come across a spider's web, and these spiders can actually be quite huge out there. So I'm smacking this off of my face, and I look down, and there's this shiny rock. It's like a metallic rock that I see in the soil, and I pick it up, and suddenly I just get this drive, this overwhelming drive to actually start walking in a particular direction. And I'm walking through this cornfield, and I pass over another field and so forth until I come to a forested area. When I go into the forest, there is a mossy place in the forest where there are these ferns and moss, and I'm overcome with lethargy, and I'm very tired. I lay down by this tree stump, and I think I'm just gonna, just kind of like lay my head down here and just kind of relax for a minute. When I wake back up and I start tracing my steps back, and I start going back to the town, I come along this like a road, and a squad car, a police car, actually pulls up, and says, my name. Are you Jason Wilson? Yes. And your mother has been looking for you. I'm like, well, what's going on? What's happened? And apparently, missing persons report was filed that I had been gone for a 48-hour period, and I was just at that age and thinking about that, thought that's just so ridiculous. And when I got back, my mother kept hounding me about the issue and where were you and what happened. And at first they thought that it was possible that maybe some man had taken me and molested me or so forth, and I was just really embarrassed to admit that. And I was like, no,
Yeah.
mom, that's not what happened. I mean, I just went out into this forest. I'm like, and I was just as shocked, and it came to go back and forth over that, and I went to go and see a doctor who had administered some psychoanalyst test, and he's like, yeah, nothing here. And I actually did go to the hospital and have some medical checkup, and they're like, yeah, nothing there. And so all of the things that I was saying was tallying up that what he's saying is true, because nothing else had went on. And this just came about as far as it came a period of time where it just kind of went away. That there was no more questions about that. Okay, that was very odd, and it always stood back in the back of my mind. By the time I was about 14 years of age, I started having these reoccurring dreams, and these dreams were about me being out there in that field, and in the dreams I was vivid about what happened. And when I was lying on the moss, it was, have you ever been in a pool of water and you're floating on your back? You just kind of put your legs up. It might even be over your head a bit, but you just relax enough in such a way that your body doesn't sink. You're floating on the water.
Right.
And that was the feeling that overcame me, and I remember just being lifted up. And it was not only that, but at that time, and I'm not even sure that I felt that even when I was 8, 9 years of age, but at that time at 14 was just like the weight of the world and stress and things off my mind, and I was being lifted up into this object that was blue, turquoise, and purple, a metallic object, and it was like a circular sphere, And when I was in there, I remember seeing these beings that were they were intangible. They didn't have a physical form, but at the same time, there was a form that you could make out in the sense that there was a presence that was there. And it was just such an overwhelming feeling of love, of calm, of peace, of joy, of just complete stillness. And over time, that's when I remember them saying more and more to me. Now, I kept having these same dreams, and I went and talked to people about that. And, in my particular social circle, people just didn't give credence to dreams. It's not like I grew up in some Peruvian tribal culture where if you had
Right.
an amazing dream, people would be able to interpret and say, and especially if it's reoccurring again and again. So I went on through different religious traditions in my life until about a few years ago. The last one that I went through was very disappointing, and I started delving deeper into it and looking at, the textual history of certain things that didn't add up. The idea of a divine sending people into hellfire, burning over and over again. It just seems so unlike the divine. And I was really at a point where I was at such despair, and I was like, life really has no meaning and no purpose. And when you go on YouTube and then you start searching, and then you get on quote unquote the weird part of YouTube, and you're like, well, how the hell did I end up here?
Hmm.
and and so I saw that wake up call to the family of light, and I watched it, and as it was going on, it just completely enthralled me and immersed. And as
Yeah.
that voice was coming through, all of those experiences, everything that I experienced, Larry, it just came to me at that time. And by the time I was not even towards a quarter of the end of that video, just I was shaking, literally shaking,
Yeah. Because it
and tears.
resonated with you down to your bone. I found, yeah, that happened for me too after my awakening, hearing that and the other Pleiadian channelings. It was just crazy. But yeah, go ahead, man. Yeah.
So that is that time, and after that, there was just as recently as a few months ago when I was lying in my room here, and up upon the ceiling, it was like light being refracted from water up on the ceiling, and it looked like a diamond shapes. And that's when I had some direct communication at that time, which was very profound. And I think it's very important too for people who want to establish that kind of contact. Don't be under the influence of any kind of mind-altering medications or drugs or alcohol or anything of that kind. Why I'm saying that to you is so you know that when you experience that, that's 100% real. You know that this is happening, and it's completely undeniable to you.
Oh, totally. And it resonates with you so deep that you can't even put it into words, and it doesn't find you until you're ready. It's really something to behold.
In fact, I think this is the first time that I'm just saying this to you about that particular video, that I'm able to say it with such control as I am now. Because there are times before when I talk about it and I just completely break down, and it's very
Yeah.
challenging to you know to actually articulate the impact and the emotion of what it was that you felt at that time. And very, very
Yeah,
powerful and very, very beautiful.
how can one articulate it really, because, or how can anybody compare it to anything? There's nothing to compare it to in 3D.
Right. It's
Nothing you could do could give it justice to really how it makes you feel.
just like today, when we're talking about love, and people say, well, how do you define love? But love is something that's beyond a simple generic definition, because it is a feeling, it is an emotion, it is an energy that you can't just give, well, love means this. You actually have to feel and be in love and express love, exchange love, be the object and subject of love to understand love.
Yeah, it's one thing to know about it. I mean, it's really a three-step process, not realizing it. But even then, once you know it, until you get full of that feeling, it's like people talk about having kids, the love a parent has for children. You can realize that that's how it is, but until you have a child, you don't realize that love. I mean, you know what I mean? Until you're there, until you're full of that feeling, you can never really appreciate how it is. And it's like that with what you're saying too. Until you get full of that feeling, you really just can't understand it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And um, if depending upon how much time you feel we have left for this program, maybe I could give some advice for some of the star seeds and light workers out there on guidelines for ascension and some things I would highly recommend to them
Mm.
if they want to be in contact with the Pleiadians or with their star family. And things that I just think are generally useful for all of us during ascension process.
Yeah, no, I think in fact, Jason, you know, it's funny you mentioned that because a lot of people that question has really been ramping up lately in regards to that and asking how and where and you know how they can go about it and you know you really feel their pain and wanting to know and their excitement. So yeah, I think that'd be the perfect way to wrap up this show on a Sunday morning here in the United States and early late evening middle evening where you're at in Singapore. I think it would be perfect for us to go out on, you know, you giving your view on that exactly.
Do you want to start off? Maybe like we go back and forth, like you mention something, I mentioned something, or how you want to go about it?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. And why don't you go ahead and kick it off? You know, since you brought it up, I'm going to put you on the firing line, make you start. But yeah, let's go ahead and play it off like that.
I think because it was touched upon earlier is conscious living and in particular conscious diet, being conscious of what you are eating, what it does to your body, how that makes you feel, and in particular is getting away from those things that are processed foods, the processed sugars, the processed salts. It really will because you are actually a mind, body, and soul, and those three things are connected to one together. Together, a car can be completely in amazing condition, but if the car does not
Hmm.
have the spark plug, then the key is not going to turn over to start the engine. Just missing
No.
a spark plug is all that you need to miss. So having that diet, and again, I'm telling people if you're feeling right now at this moment, well, meat is difficult for me to give up. Just do what you can, and you're
Hmm.
making those small steps, and do it with conscience. When you eat and be thankful, even if it's a plate of vegetables and fruits, like I'm thankful for this life that is given to me to sustain my energy and be conscious and thankful of that because that's it. Eat with intention. You know, sometimes you'll see at a restaurant and it will say enjoy. Well, enjoy what? You know, just enjoy. Well, that's why in some cultures they'll say enjoy with health and longevity because that's the intention and the purpose of why I'm eating. If you're not eating with intention, then you're just a glutton. That's it.
Yeah.
You're just eating for the sake of the pleasure of eating, which in and of itself that's one level of existence, but if you're talking about ascension, then you're talking about eating with intention and with consciousness of what you're eating. All right, your turn,
No.
bro.
Yeah, I think that basically what I'm going to do is just expand on what you said as far as that goes, because even you know the greats that I've listened to echo just what you're saying, and just be blessed for that water that you're drinking, be blessed for that food that you're having, and you know you bring up the word where it says just enjoy. Well, yeah, but know what you're enjoying. You know, be aware of it, be thankful for it, understand what it's doing for you, really give thanks to that water or that food and just enjoy it, but know what it's doing for you. Don't be a glutton. Understand that its purpose and your purpose for eating it as well. And like you also said about the meat, you know, people are like, God damn, I got to give up meat, or I've got to do this, got to do that. Well, you know what? You don't have to put that kind of pressure on yourself as long as you're already in the right direction by being conscious and aware of it. You know, you're
Mm.
already aware of
Mm.
it and thinking that in your mind. And so just by keeping that in mind and focusing your attentions and not getting hung up on, hey, I got to just give this up right now, but just by being having your intentions on it, you'd be surprised how quick you get to where you want to go with that, you know. And yeah,
Absolutely, brother.
exactly. And it's the same thing with ascension dates. It's like, okay, don't be in such a hurry just to make some grand finale happen. Bless the journey, Take
Yes.
advantage of every now moment you've got, enjoy every now moment you've got. And I know people out there are being like, I just want it to end, I just want to go back home. Well, none of that's going to happen until you understand and learn the journey so you can enjoy it to the fullest of your being when you do get there, and then go on to the next journey or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think there's really a whole lot more that I can add to that except for just be thankful in every now moment that you're in. And I mean, that doesn't mean, that the situation's not rosy. I mean, still think about the now moment you're in and look at maybe why you're there and try to make the best of it, and manifest a better situation, slowly. It's
Absolutely. I
not going to
mean,
just come by going abracadabra or hocus pocus alamagokus. You got to really, you just got to really think it through.
I mean, really, guys, it's just, stop being a bunch of crybabies because, one thing about life is, no one gets out alive. And, look, the average lifespan of a human being is what, 70, 80 years? You could be born into a sentient civilization
Mm,
where the average lifespan is 300, 500 years.
yeah.
Imagine owing phone bills, for 400 years of your life. That would suck. So, don't worry, you get to get out of here. You get to punch out. So
That
it's
400
just a
year
matter of,
mortgage.
yeah, 400-year mortgage. You could have been into such as, a civilization. So count your blessings,
Uh, oh, wouldn't that be
Uh,
wonderful?
Another thing is really getting in touch with nature, and that's
Big
really where
time.
we initially came from. And then over time, we became a technological society. They have the different ages, right? This is the Bronze Age, this is the Gold, the Silver Age, and so forth. And now we've
Oh,
become a
yes.
technopoly. If you look, everything that human beings make and manufacture is dead, with the exception of other human beings. We do not. The computer, the microphone I'm using right now, blankets, pillow sheets, enamel, paint, you name it, they're not vibrating with the frequency of life. But when you
No.
go to nature, nature is vibrating with the frequency of life. This is when you go back there and you breathe that fresh air and you hear the water flowing and you hear the sound of the birds, and you get in touch with nature as much as you can. Those who are out there, try to be in touch with it. It's very, very important. I actually live in a city where children have very little interaction with nature, and it's sad. Count
Mm.
your blessing. There's someone out there listening to this program and thinking, you know what, this sucks. I live out in the middle of Nebraska or Iowa or whatever.
And
I'm
we
so
have people like that. Indiana, yeah, like you mentioned, Indiana.
yeah,
In the Midwest where there's just, yeah, exactly.
but you have fireflies in the fall that other people
Yeah, we
don't,
don't
and
have those
that's
here.
it's
No, I tried
beautiful.
to
I
get a
mean,
friend to bring some back here on vacation once when we were 16. He had to go back east with his parents, and they drove back. And I tried to get him, and he tried, but they didn't survive out here. I tried to get him to get some fireflies, which he did, but they didn't make it alive back here to Oregon. So, and that'd be something that I would really like to see one time. And, you talk about all these things that are the blanket, the computer, these things are not alive, but in a situation where some of these higher evolved civilizations, these technologies come to them through consciousness instead of, and then it is alive, it's consciousness. I think of like a mothership with a Pleiadian collective would be a consciousness alive being, you know what I mean? But
absolutely.
these things that we use out of completely getting away from the nature and indigenous part are completely dead because we're getting out of attunement with our mothership, the earth, or getting out of attunement with what is our whole being. So therefore, it's just some object that, yeah, I don't really even know what more to say about it, but it's really nothing. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. I mean, nothing's nothing, but it's soulless and heartless because the technology to come up with that has moved away from that consciousness, so you can have all the brains in the world, but with no consciousness, what are
Here,
you? What is it?
here's something that I think is interesting for those out there who believe that somehow higher consciousness is channeled through pop culture and movies. Think about this, okay? In the Star Wars, what is it going on, 6 movies that they've done, okay?
Oh, good God, a
The
lot, yeah.
the the Sith had a reappearance on a planet called Coruscant, which is actually a planet that is one massive city. There's not very
Oh
many living
God,
things. Not
my
very
fear of
many
the
living
USA.
things, right? There are not very many living things on that planet other than the
Mm,
human beings or the sentient alien life forms. In other words, it's just all technology. Whereas if you look, when Yoda retreated, Yoda went to Dagobah, which is a planet that's all abundant with life. It's a swamp
hmm
life. That's where he went to gain a sense of center and a sense of focus. Then when you get into Lord of the Rings, okay, the ring has a corrupting influence upon everyone, but it had the least power over hobbits, people who were very close to the earth. They actually even lived under hills, very intimate with nature. Um, they really didn't want to journey beyond. They were satisfied with what they had in their immediate vicinity. So these are things to think about, which brings me to, and I want to say this to myself before I'm saying it to the others listening, is, just simply honestly, being online all the time that we are, and I'm really guilty of that, the television,
Me
if you
too.
can.
Number one.
There's a really good book called Four Arguments for the Elimination of
Uh-huh.
Television by Jerry Mander. This is a book anyone can check out. It's called Four Arguments for the Elimination of Television by Jerry Mander. You can check that book out. Talking about how television is there to program the programs, meaning you and I. It's not interactive like the internet is at the very least. It spits out a lot of negativity.
hmm
It activates part of the reptilian brain, which is the flight and fight mechanism. It also creates
Yeah.
ADHD, attention deficit disorder, within our children, among many other things. Um, and as there's also two other books along that line. There's one book called
Mm.
Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman. Um, uh, the second book is called Technopoly by Neil Postman. And these are all excellent books to read to see why we need to unplug and just plug into nature as much as we can, interact with living things and living people. We're still gonna, use our internets and our PCs and our tablets, but it's just trying not to get so addicted and absorbed into all of it.
And
Uh,
for God's sake, give up the television. I was the biggest couch potato ever as a kid, and I mean, I haven't really watched much TV in 3 years, and really, it lowers the vibration, and I can't even handle watching it. The internet is bad enough, but at least it's a little bit interactive. Television is just, yeah, my God, people, please give me a fucking
which brings
break.
Which brings to the other point is don't let you are not a mushroom. A mushroom, it doesn't, mushrooms are not very active organisms. I think you
No,
people
I've
have
heard that.
observed, I'm sure people have observed that unless they were taking something really powerful that they should be sharing with Larry and I. But
Yeah, I know. That's a good point. Yeah, really, that's true.
But you're meant to
True.
live an active lifestyle. So if you can get out, do some jogging, do some running, do some swimming, do some exercising, some yoga. All of those things are very important because it's good for your mind and your body. And that brings us into ties in with that and with the diet is fasting. Even if it's for you try so many hours a day or one day of the week, that's very, very important because again, it's teaching mastery over the physical. If you're not in control, you are going to be controlled. So is the spirit in control of the body, or is the body running the show? I've heard that so many times by star seeds and light workers. Well,
hmm
you know, you're not a body with a soul. You're a spirit having a 3D experience. Okay, that's fine, but then who's in control?
hmm
If you're not able to say no to the cookie jar for that day, then in all honesty, and I don't mean to say this to be harsh, we're not going to get very far. So we have to be able to do that, and it is challenging because that's why when you go up a hill, it takes more energy because it's exertion, ascension. You're going
Yeah.
up. When you go down a hill, it's
Yeah.
easier because the gravity is helping to push you down.
Exactly. But if you go down too fast, it can be an issue. But I agree with what you're saying too. And it's not like you have to sit there and go, okay, well, I can't have this forever and ever and ever. Try to get through every single, here's that catchphrase again, now moment you're in. think about that and get full of that feeling, even if you just fast for part of a day or a full day. Get that, at least that little bit of feeling of what it's like, that separation, that, missing it, that going through that change without it. Just try to start off with getting full of that feeling a little bit, and then go have a cookie, and then next time, go a little bit longer. And it doesn't have to all be done at once, but it starts with just a conscious thought, a conscious plan, and holding up to it for at least a second or two.
Another thing is prayer and meditation. Now, people will often ask, I've seen it many times in posting, what meditation is best? What's the
Well,
best meditation? Well, the best meditation is, and this isn't saying it to be cheeky or anything like that or just to be non-controversial, the best meditation and the best prayer is the best prayer and meditation that works for you. There's many
oh
different
yeah.
traditions, there's many different ways and styles and methods,
Uh-huh.
and you might try something and it doesn't resonate and doesn't work with you. If it's not helping you to activate the chakras and the codings, then it's not for you. That's the beauty, is that there are different things that will be out there that will be
Yeah.
appealing to different types of people.
Yeah, and you don't have to do telekinesis for 18 hours a day, but you know what? It isn't cheesy, because I would dare somebody to ever find a truer statement ever in the history of the earth than what you just said. It's really what works for everybody. It's not a certain position for each individual person. It's not a position. It's not anything. It's just you're in that relaxing, quiet me moment, and doing your thing however you feel comfortable. What's the best meditation to use? How do I do it? Why do I do it? Who do I do it? Well, the minute you ask that, really, in a way, you're giving up your power completely by doing that. Now it's one thing to ask for a little advice on a certain meditation, maybe to listen to or recommend something, but it's what suits you. I mean, how in the hell could anybody possibly know besides you? I mean, how could you possibly even think that anybody would have a better idea, even if they've been doing it for a million years? I mean, it just, to me, it's so ludicrous, but a lot of people ask it.
The other thing that people can do through Ascension is just surround yourself with beauty, music,
Hmm.
art, poetry, anything, a scent or an oil that uplifts you in your mood,
Yeah.
um, a positive song you can put in, an MP3 into your uh, on your way to work, that's just very positive and uplifting. And the thing is when we say unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness, that doesn't mean that you have to uh, be with those people who drag you down and drag your energy down. Well, I just got to invite them in my life no matter what. No. As I said before, if you see somebody who's in an accident along the highway, your natural inclination is to want to help them. But if you do not have the qualifications to help that person, you could actually be doing more harm than good. Well, I'm just going to take the body and drag it out of the vehicle, and then God knows, what you've wrecked in the process. So people who are in a situation where all they do is negative, 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 and they're bringing you down with that negative, negative, negative energy, vibration, and frequency, then you need to make sure that you're not having that. Uh, uh, Having them in your circle. That doesn't mean that you don't love them. That doesn't mean that you don't forgive them or that all is well with them. No, for as much as you can, you still can. You extend your mercy, your empathy, your sympathy, and your compassion with such people. Um, but you just try not to have that within your circle. Eliminating stressful things in your life is very important.
Very important. I apologize. I had to go let my dog out for a minute. But yeah, exactly what you're saying. I echo that completely.
So the other issue, when you start doing all of those things, you should start feeling very differently in your life and more calm. And then this will be the last one that I'll touch on, and I think it's the most important and most crucial, and that is simply the attitude that you have in your heart and your mind. I gave a recent post on this, and I think it's so true. The only things that we will ever talk about is what's in our heart. If sports is what's in your heart, that's all you'll ever talk about is sports. If anger and hatred and
Yeah, I've
resentment
been
is
there.
in your heart, that's what you talk about. If it's envy and pride and jealousy, that's what will manifest on your tongue. If love and peace is in your heart, this is what will manifest in your life and your tongue. So we only talk about and we only manifest the things in our life that is in our heart. And I'm talking about being rooted in that heart chakra, being rooted in the third eye, being rooted in that consciousness by changing the way
Huh.
we perceive reality and perceive the things around us. That's very, very important. And in fact, I think that's the most important of all the topics that we discussed. In fact, I would go so far as to say you could pretty much neglect everything else, even though I'm not advocating that. You could pretty much neglect everything else, but the most important is how you perceive your reality, how you interact with it, and the mindset that you carry. That is where you get that
Yeah.
unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness, infinite understanding. And these things are what invite light upon light in your heart, in your mind, and in your being, and around you in your life.
Yeah, I get, totally too. And yeah, I hear what you're saying about not neglecting the rest, but if you just do that one thing that you're saying right there, it'll take care of the rest of all that. You know what I mean? And just start with that, and you'd be surprised how it completely will take care of these other side issues that go with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So I guess
yeah.
I can leave it at that if you want to, unless you have anything else, beloved Larry. To
No, I really don't, man. I just wanted to, I don't. I just wanted to wish everybody out there peace, light, love, and namaste. And I mean that when I say it. It's no bullshit cliche. Just like when you say it, it's no cliche either. And we really mean that out there. And, just keep hanging in there, everybody, as we forge through this and move onward and upward on this path that we're all on together towards oneness, because we really are one with the Creator at the end of the day and, at the end of this journey. So, um, no, really, I don't, man. I want to thank you for coming on the show, and I really appreciate every chance I have to kick the reality with you like we do and tell it like it is, Howard Cosell style. And I'm dating myself by mentioning old Howard, but no, I really appreciate it, Jason, and thank you for coming on, man. And it's got to be getting kind of late there in Singapore where you're at, but of course, in no time, what is time? No, I just want to thank you, man. I'll quit rambling on, but I want to thank you for coming on the show. And my daughter's here next to me.
Giving Sparky
uh,
some treats.
Skya, can you say hi to everybody?
Hey, what's up?
No, okay.
hey, Skya.
Talking up.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
hello.
Yeah, she's off to do her own thing now, 11-year-old going on 20. But
Never mind those
yeah,
bright
Jason,
lights
I
in the
want to just
sky.
thank you, man. Much love to you, man. I love you, brother, and I hope all is well in the Far East. And yeah, I think that one thing I do want to ask you though is, and I do have been asking this of everybody on the show, is where can they find Jason Wilson on Facebook or the internet? Where can people find Mr. Wilson if their heart so desires to manifest that?
Very dark and shifty corners of the internet, you know, basically.
Yeah, a black hole in cyberspace.
You
Yeah.
know, anybody who wants to add me, Jason Wilson, and you will just see an icon of a young lady who has her arms stretched out to the sky, receiving the abundance of rain pouring down from the heavens. And you can even ask Larry. I'm sure he has my, because, Larry is always stalking me, knows anything and everything about me. And
Yeah.
and on the and on the Pleiadian page as well. I'm just um, I'm very blessed by being on this journey with everyone, and I very much love all my friends. And I sincerely say from the bottom of my heart, if I show negligence in any way, sometimes someone may have messaged me, I forgot, or we had a conversation and I meant to get back to you. I also sincerely apologize to you for that. Please remind me, because to to uh, to forgive is divine and to err is human. And I really just, like I said, I'm thankful. There's so many beautiful, vibrant, each and every one of you, in fact, are beautiful, vibrant, amazing beings. And it's
Mm.
amazing to be on this journey with you all. And I'm just so humbled by it all. And I love each and every one of you with all my heart.
Yeah, and I'd like to echo that sentiment too. I love everybody with each and every fiber of my Akashic heart and soul. And of course, everybody knows where they can find me, the Pleiadians group, Fringe Thinkers, all the various Pleiadian groups and pages. And I
Las
just wish
Vegas.
yeah, I just wish everybody much love. I think I hear the music keying up here to take us out. And Jason, I wanted to thank you for coming on, and I hope that you know that one day again we can do this real soon, man. And we're gonna take everybody out with a little "No One Like You" because that's how I feel about you, brother. There's no one like you, and there's no one like you listening out there in the audience. Each and every one of you. There's no
Um,
one like you, but we're all one collective. Much love, Jason.
Much love to you, brother.
And we're out.